Oh, you can?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, fantastic.
Great. Okay.
Fantastic. Carmine, thank you for joining me.
Thank
for
you
the first Twisted Vibrations podcast, Travelers of the Physical and Astral Realm. I think I'll stick with that tagline. We'll see how that goes.
Great. Thank you for having me again.
No, thank you for joining. So, yeah, I guess traveling the physical and astral realm. Have you been traveling the astral realm much recently?
Well, lately has been very challenging for all of us. So I think consciously or unconsciously, everybody had some sort of like astral traveling, like sensing this energy so strange, so particular in this late period, isn't it?
With the whole conjunction.
Yes, the conjunction and this new era entering and the eclipses and everything got so thin and subtle. It was very tangible, like this other side in some moment. I think also, this is a thought that came to me like in December, a few weeks ago, because usually we think about like the Christmas time, a time where you can set new intention and you can just stop and see what happened during the past year and so on, and then reset something for the next year. And most of the time, in the other times, like in the other years, we have been telling that without really, without consciously probably knowing that this is actually very true and very accurate. And December for me was something like a period where this energy was very strong. Like in the previous year, I was just saying that because it was a bit in the air, but was something that you say even if you haven't experienced that strongly. But this year was, on the other hand, was very strong, was very intense, was like real. Like when you say this time, okay, I want to change this, I want to enter into the new year with new intention, with new sankalpas, with new beautiful things that I want to nourish, then this time it's stronger, it's more real, it sounds more like it is really like this.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably really relevant for a lot of people, whether they're walking the spiritual path or not, with everything that's happened in the last year. You know, we were forced to break down a lot of what we thought was normal. And I think there's been quite a division between a lot of people. A lot of people have suffered, but I also think a lot of people have grown as well. Like people have been given that opportunity, but I think people have also got this, you know, you get to the new year, it's New Year's resolution, but I think this is, yeah, like you're saying, it's a lot stronger for everyone. You know, it did, you know, this virus didn't go as way as quick as we hoped. And I think we've all got to kind of settle into a new norm and figure out how it's going to work for us. So.
Yes, it's true. And also, if there are people that are not at the point of understanding that things are really changing, well, life is showing these things up strongly. Like I have a lot of friends that are coming across a lot of hard times, like difficult things that are happening to their relatives or to other friends or to themselves. Now more than ever. And for me, it's like, it's a good sign. It's a sign that the universe, life around us, is just telling you strongly, look, we have to go beyond this, we have to go through this and then learn, because it's some sort of ultimatum to be like more spiritual, to be really in this age of Aquarius, to incarnate the people of the age of Aquarius. We have to strongly now go through our shit and then put this on service to help others.
Yeah. So what's for you making these changes? Like what, a week or two ago, you did an aura reading for me. So is that kind of like the new the new practice for Carmine, or is that just like one of many things? You're just flowing with what's coming to you?
It's I'm very curious, and I try to experience new things and to see where those things bring me. And this is just something that in this period it's taking much of my attention, because it's something I didn't consider. I didn't think I was able to do this sort of like psychic readings. And then I realized that actually it just takes a bit of effort and a bit of like rephrasing, reorganizing the way you perceive energy, and then you can do it. Like everybody can do it. So yes, I think it's still something that I want to develop more. And it's just one little piece that make the whole puzzle. You know, we are constantly changing. So during our life, we are attracted to different things, but all of them eventually will make the future you. And it's always a work on progress thing. So this is definitely one thing that I want to cultivate more and see how good can I be in the future in order to help others with this.
So this is like the first time you kind of been tapping into the clairvoyance, because you're a Reiki master. Are you? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, I am.
So like you've obviously got this connection of energy, but is this like the first time you really tapped into clairvoyance with your readings, or have you kind of like, has that kind of like hit you in the past? Just, you know, sometimes people drop into it.
You know, with Reiki, we train ourselves to sense the subtle energy, the divine energy that it's coming through. And then one of the most important aspects of the Reiki healing is that you should detach from the treatment, because we are not the one who are performing the healing, but we are just channels.
We're like the wires connecting the universe and the patient, really, aren't we? Like the conductor.
Exactly. Yeah. Through you, the universe is performing this healing, is giving enough energy to the body of the receiver in order to get a boost of energy and then fix itself. That's why we are not, in the strict sense, we are not the healers, but we are just channel. But of course, you get like feedback while you're doing a treatment, and most of this feedback for me were pretty much kinesthetic, so sensation in the hands or in the part of my body mirroring the other body in order to help me to move better during the treatment. But coming across this psychic course that I'm doing with a college in London.
That's the London College of Psychic Studies, is it? Is that the one that Carolina went? Okay,
yes. Yes, it's that one. And Carolina also, yeah, strongly advised me back in the days, the teacher that now I'm following for this class. So thank you also to her to giving me this hint. I mean, it's been like 3 years. She said that 3 or 4 years ago, and then I had to take my time, and now I found the moment to embrace this process. And with this class, basically, the approach is pretty different. It's like finding your gift inside that you thought you didn't have, or you thought you couldn't develop, and then basically to tap into this field. It's basically you connecting with the universe, but being more than a channel. Like you use your senses to be a channel, so you can probably hear things, to clairaudience, or see symbols and other things, or sense again. And with this course, I realized that it was not only a kinesthetic person, but I could also experience something with the other senses. So it's like an expansion of what I was already unconsciously doing.
So you already had kind of a feeling that the kinesthetic or clairsentience, I think someone might use the word. So in doing that course, you were going into that like, I have clairsentience, but in doing the course, you discovered that you had a bit of clairvoyance as well, because you talk about finding the gifts you have. And I mean, I'm relatively new on this spiritual path, if you will, and I know there's an energy in me. I've spoken to healers, other people that practice shamanism, people, a lot of oracles. They say big things about me, but I don't experience these big things unless I'm in the presence of other people. So it's hard for me to really kind of narrow down where exactly is the gift. I mean, I know I have to be patient. I have to keep seeking and experimenting and keep traveling the world and finding different cultures and stuff. But like so you discovered that through doing that course that you have this, or were you going into it trying to find the clairvoyance?
Well, I believe we all have our senses, like the senses where we can, with which we can perceive the physical reality. And we know we have these 5 senses. And the same is for more subtle level of energy. We have the same senses, but that work on a higher frequency. And we all have that. But some of these senses probably are more, are stronger or more developed. And with these senses, you can basically use that for this thing. It's not so easy to explain, but at the same time, it's very easy. Like you have everything. You don't miss anything. There's nothing wrong with you, from the physical and from the spiritual sense, because you have a soul, you have an energetic body, and you have all the senses that work perfectly. Then you need to figure out which one you can use, because it's stronger. You can tap into this, but it's not something that you do consciously. You basically open up yourself, and then you see how the messages are carried through the realms, through the spirit, from the spirit world through you. And this is something that finds its own way. I realized while doing it, it's like I realized that sometimes I was channeling some sort of pictures, which was unexpected for me. Sometimes I could understand the pictures, some other times they were completely symbolic pictures that were not making any sense to me. But with this, you just need to trust, because something that doesn't make any sense to you, it makes sense for the people you are speaking to.
Right.
So it's something that you cannot negotiate. Our teacher always say, don't worry, like at the beginning, it's very hard. The first few minutes of a session are hard, but the one thing that you need to do is just to speak, to start speaking, and then everything will unfold. From a personal perspective, I can say that I arrived at this topic, at this new thing that I'm trying to understand better, because previously I've worked a lot on trying to understand my connection with the universe. This was something very very hard for me. It took me a lot of time and the right persons in my life to help me understand that having a connection with the source, being part of the source, it's not just something that you say lightheartedly and then the innermost part of yourself doesn't believe that. We actually need to actually experience this connection with the divine, and then the other things find their way through. There was one of the person I met last year, which was an amazing healer in Italy. One of the first things he told me, he said, "You guys, you never pray. You don't pray God. You should pray."
Play, or you don't pray?
You don't pray.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't pray God. And this like struck me in a weird way, because I thought I was a spiritual person praying in my own way to what I was thinking was my way of conceiving God. But when he said that, it actually made me understand that there was something to understand more, to open up more, to even study more. What does it mean to pray God? What does it mean to join this divine energy with all your heart and not just with your reasoning mind?
Right. So when you say like, what does it mean to pray to God?
I don't mean the Christian God.
No, I know. Actually, this kind of gets me on thinking about the term God. I really like the term God. For a long time, I didn't, because I don't know, maybe, when I was a lot younger, I don't know, myself, and I think a lot of people could identify to this, when you're younger, you believe in Santa Claus, you believe in the Easter Bunny, and you're going to believe in God and the devil, the Christian teachings. A lot of people within the Western world will go through this. They get to a point of adolescence in their teen years, and they start to realize, hang on, these fictional characters weren't real, like Santa and the Easter Bunny. How is God real? You start to get into this bit of atheistic kind of view of things. God can't be real. And I think that's because a lot of the time, the institutions like Christianity or Judaism or these other places, they make God seem like it's a he, or it's an it's like God is an entity or an omnipotent being. Whereas I think now I start to see what is God. God is universal energy, but what is universal energy? What is it that ties us all together? What is the one thing that will tie you and your parents together, or you and your children, or you and your brother together? Is love. Apart from the physical world, unless you're literally tied together, that's what's tying you. Love ties together. And then it brings me back to thinking about how you'd hear some Christians might say God is love. And I think recently that's really sunk in really deep to me, that God is love. Love is God. And so when we're praying to God, we're connecting to that energy of love, and that's within us, and it's only going to come from within us. Other people could come along and they could light that flame or fan that flame a little bit more for us, but it doesn't come from that. It just excites that within us.
Yes.
So
it's definitely, I completely agree with you, and it's something that we need to cultivate in ourselves. And the best way to cultivate this is just to start loving ourselves in some sort of selfless way. And then it is true. It's like, it's love that moves everything. Because if you open the window, if you go out, you see that everything is breathing. All the nature around you is just trying to find its way through the cement, through the asphalt, and so on. So there is, it's pretty easy to believe that there is a very strong life energy that wants to thrive and wants you to be strong and healthy and to grow as much as possible. And this energy that wants the life to thrive, it's full of love, and it's in everything around you. If you look at a tree, you see the tree moving, you see trees having conversation between them. You see there is this veil of energy that is surrounding everything. And it's resonating with something that it's also inside every living thing, even the inanimate things. But it's easier to see inside of you. Even if you start not believing in God, probably you realize that there is something inside of you, that it's more of the sum of the parts that makes your body. There is something inside that it's special, it's sacred, and it's made of love. It wants you to thrive or thrive. Sorry for my
that's okay. Thrive.
I think broken English.
I think we all know what you're getting across, your sentiment. So did you have like, I don't know, like, was there some point, and maybe it was the beginning of your spiritual path where you kind of had this, did you have that realization of that this connection to nature and everything is the spiritual world? Or did you have like some big kind of aha moments, like something just happened? Like what was it that really just kind of triggered that in the first place?
Well, when I was a kid, I was a bit weird. I didn't know anything, and my family is not a spiritual family. They are just Catholic because it's our own culture.
Sure.
And when I was very young, like I found myself doing things like grinding stones, making powders, playing the little alchemist all by myself.
You actually imagined you're a little witchy alchemist mixing things, or
yes, that
making
sort
them?
of things. Just because it felt natural, and it didn't have any meaning or any purpose. I was just feeling drawn to do those things. And then I had also this little moment of clarity here and there. Like there were moments I was going to school and everybody around me looked like empty bottles. This was the metaphor I was trying to say to make myself understandable to others, but nobody could understand that.
Yeah,
and
so
eventually,
concept. If someone comes up to you and says that you're an empty bottle, you'd be like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm all here. I can speak and walk and talk. What are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah. Or this funny thing of like going to your friend and say, hey, wouldn't be like super cool to die and see, just for the sake of seeing what's after? Don't you want to die? Like, you know, it's something that a kid says like, at the beginning it says it like without thinking, it says without naturally, and then you realize that society is not made for people like this. So you eventually switch that little antenna off and you just try to be normal, because when you are young you want to be accepted and you want to be part of a group, and this brings like some sort of normality. But then you see that you are not suited for that, and there is this inner voice that it's always calling you for understanding what's behind. You basically start making yourself a lot of questions and try to figure out where this comes from. So yeah, I was carried away. I lost my.
No, that's right. So it was kind of like, you know, being at school, you just kind of had that veil lift and you just kind of saw, saw a little bit different. Like,
even if I was not understanding why or where was this bringing me, it was something that it was there, and eventually I forgot. And then when I was,
you had to suppress. You felt like you had to suppress it, like when you were at school or something, like just to kind of fit in and not be seen as.
I think, yes, I think that something that was feeling kind of normal was not socially okay. So I just adjust to that. But then after, when I was 20, still it kept like something creeping under the skin. Like you see that one of the people of your age want, they want a girlfriend, they want to have their first experiences with the other sex and stuff like that. While I was just praying for wisdom. This also sounded pretty weird. Like I was having friends that were like, hey, let's go chasing girls and so on. And, you know, in my own, I was cool just staying by myself. And instead of praying for the right girlfriend or the love, I was just praying the moon and the sun for wisdom. And
you're just falling in love with nature and the energy around you.
Yes. I was very lucky because I was raised in countryside, so there was a lot of nature around me.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah.
And so when, like, you obviously had a second wind in the spiritual sense, like you had that second chance, like was it hard to actually like all of those friends that were chasing relationships, and here you are connecting with nature, did you have to at some point distance yourself from them, or did you just say, this is me, this is who I am, and they distance from you, or are they still with you?
No, they are not. Yeah, it was when I was 20, and it's passed a lot of years. And yeah, I just left them behind because at the end we found out we had different goals, different paths. So I just moved on, but still I was keeping a low profile. Even when I went to university, it was a bit like that. And then life had to strike me very hard because I went through a very bad relationship. And I was really in hell. Like I was very down. I was feeling very depressed. So I had these shocking experiences. And in the darkest moment of my life, then just life moved. I met the right persons, and they brought me back to my spiritual path. Because then I was introduced to Buddhism back in the days. It was like 10 years ago. And what saved me from that situation was Buddhism. And from that, I started again cultivating almost exclusively this spiritual side of mine.
And because you kind of like started anew and you didn't have those same people around you, you felt like you could just be yourself, and anyone around you, take it or leave it. It's totally up to them after that.
Yeah, and when you grow up, you can also choose your friends. When I was a teenager, or when I was a kid living in a small village, I was forced somehow to stick with the same people. You don't have much of a choice.
I think it's like with everyone at school, you know, you go through, well, some people would go for 12 years, knowing the same group of people, the same crowd of people, and you have to fit within that. But I think once, you know, once we kind of get out of that, and I think even we get a bit of that when we're at university. I never went to university myself, so I didn't experience that. But once you kind of get away from that, you realize you can just start to be who you want.
Yeah,
you can create who you want to be, and it doesn't matter that the naysayers or the people that don't vibe with you. It's like, it's okay. And then, you know, that it's a cheesy saying, your vibe attracts your tribe. And, you know, I think and some of these cliches, they're cheesy, but they ring so true once you really start to walk that spiritual path. And the more you vibe, the bigger the tribe, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, people just start coming out of the woodworks, the most random situations, most random towns and places you go. So
yeah, just saying, hey, I like you.
yeah. You can almost just look at people. I remember one of our friends from Pokhara, Thomas. I think you've spoken to him a few times. He was one of those people. I remember Carolina and I were sitting in a cafe, and we saw this guy walking past, and it's like, you just see it in their eye sometimes. You see, they look at you as well, and you know that they can see something in your eye, and it's just like, yeah, it's chance encounters. And then finally you sit down and have a chat, and you're like, oh my God, you're a shaman? like where'd this guy come from?
It's about like recognizing each other.
Yeah. Do you kind of get that when you travel the world? Like, you know, I find some places are a lot more energetic than others. Like, you just get higher concentrations of people in some places. Have you kind of found there's one place that you've traveled to that's, you know, just kind of radiated that?
It's true. I also think it's very subjective. It resonates strongly with you. I mean, there are places that are collectively resonated with almost everyone. But there are specific places that just resonate with your specific energy in that moment. So it's like the universe conjuring just around you to make you have that experience. It's like constantly, I think it's like constantly being under a spotlight. It's just, the universe is just conjuring for you to have that experience and to understand that inner truth.
I like that. I like to think it's not so much I'm under a spotlight. I am the spotlight. maybe this is just my Leo rising. I like the center of attention. But you know, that's something I've really embraced in the last couple of years, is just be loud and proud about who you are. Just, you know, don't hold anything back. And the louder you are, the more people are going to hear you, and the more people come your way. So
yes. It's just, it's amazing. I mean, isn't it? It's just...
And I think, you know, coming into this digital age, being online as well with all the social media stuff that's going on is, I think you can really do that as well. I think you certainly do get some people, the naysayers, that kind of come your way, but the beauty of social media is the little block button that you can use as well. So you can even kind of like spread yourself out a little bit more even, and then you start connecting with people in different continents that you've never traveled to, and just like, you know.
Yeah, it's true. It's just, I don't know why I struggle so much in doing that. Like, there is still something holding me from doing that, but eventually it will come the moment also.
Yeah, I mean, it'll come around. Like it wasn't for Carolina and I so much. I mean, individually, kind of, I think when we kind of joined forces, individually, we both started building on it and we started doing our own thing. But that was kind of born out of the COVID situation, being locked down in that one place. We had to find some other kind of avenue. So there was one thing, actually, look, there was one thing I wanted to ask you about. Now, you and Carolina, you knew each other, you first met, was it London?
Yes, in London.
So it was in London. But before that, you'd also met in another lifetime?
Yes.
How does that play out? Carolina has told me the one key detail, but like I want to know the rest of it, how this all fits in.
I'm just trying to remember when this came out, the first thing. When she came to Italy, she said something about a famous character of the Berlin scene in the beginning of the century. And, you know, I also had this connection with Berlin. I didn't know much. And then we find out that basically she was a dancer. I was also a dancer. And we also have been married like for a few months. And then I escaped with her money and went to the States. Like I was not so nice. So sorry, Carolina, for that. But it makes sense somehow, because in your life now, you realize you have connections with a specific culture, or there is a part of you that it's not completely you, but it might be something else. And probably this is just some leftover for some previous life, something that you haven't resolved. Before saying that, I just don't believe that the person that was in a previous life, it's just reincarnated as it was, like just with another face in another context. I also believe that, of course, I believe in reincarnation, but I believe that there is not just a soul that travels from body to body in the future. I believe that there are consciousnesses, like aspects of people that, like different streams of a rope, disintegrate and then come together again, creating a new body. So it's just this would also explain why there are so many Cleopatras now.
Yeah. So many people claim to maybe have been Moses in a past life. I like to think of it like, of course, I too agree with the reincarnation, but I think it's also kind of like, say, I leave this physical realm, like when I'm older and gray, I decide to leave, but that consciousness returns to a pool of consciousness, like a giant ocean, and then that gets dissolved and mixed with the rest. And then when when a new vessel, physical vessel is chosen, it's like, all right, I'm just going to scoop up this. Okay, we got to put column A, B, and C and just dump it into this vessel. So then, you know, we're all just mixed. In the same way, if we kind of look at space and we look at stars, we think about how a sun might explode. You've got everything. You got your stars, you got your planets, your asteroid belts, and all these things. On a long enough time frame, that star's going to explode. It's going to destroy everything in its path. Everything's going to shatter. It's going to then slowly condense back together, and it will resemble something similar. Maybe there'll be one, maybe there'll be two stars, maybe there'll be more or less planets, but it's all the same stardust that's just been destroyed, but it's just come back together. And
yes, but I do also believe, sorry to interrupt, I do also believe that there is a specific mind in that. This coming together of all this stardust material is brought together by some sort of consciousness that says this new sun has to go through these different experiences, just the way it is done. Let's say different atoms, different cells that all want to experience something very specific, and then they join together to have that experience. Okay, there must be some goal at the end, like some specific thing that Karm, in this case, needs to experience. And of course, all the parts that make Karm wants to experience this in this life as Karm. So there must be some sort of intelligence that put all these fibers all together.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's the collective consciousness that people talk about a lot. Collective consciousness, you know, once we kind of die and we go back to that magical waiting room that, I don't know, people might call nirvana or heaven or whatever you will. I think that's where that collective consciousness is. And that collective consciousness knows what's going on. But, you know, when we're kind of here broken off in a little separate, you know, expression of that consciousness, we just like, what the hell's going on? So
you see, wouldn't it be very, very cool to just die to find out?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I found it very fascinating listening to, I've heard some people talk about how they've actually died. They've been, you know, clinically dead for an amount of time. This particular story would have been about someone that died for 15 minutes and then was revived. And when he came back, his experience, like what he experienced, it sounds almost identical how people experience when they have an experience with ayahuasca or DMT, for example. So it kind of gives me a bit of hope. Myself having dabbled a bit in that area with those substances, to think that is actually what death is. It would be quite a beautiful thing, I think. Have you ever had a ayahuasca or DMT?
I had a retreat with a sacred plant, with Jurema, which is the sister, I think, of the.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it was a very, very interesting experience. It was, of course, psychedelic, but also very, very teaching. It was very, very interesting. I just have these glimpses of some mechanism of the world. Well, it depends on your own mindset or on your own intention when you do this sort of like retreats. And it is possible also because the pineal gland and this substance is active just when you die or when you are born, so in specific period of your life. So yeah.
Well, perhaps when we have transcendental experiences through meditation, I've also heard small amounts when we're you know, dreaming as well, from what I understand?
Uh,
I don't know. Correct me if you think I'm wrong there.
I don't know. Just say again. Say again.
Well, also, like you're talking about how we have the substance within the pineal gland, obviously the DMT that goes into the pineal gland. But it also can be achieved through having a transcendental experience while meditating as well. I do believe. I personally haven't experienced that, but again, I have heard people's reports of having these transcendental experiences, and again, they sound like the person describing what it was like when they died, or the person that had ayahuasca, for example. So, you know, I think we've also got that power within us. We don't actually have to die to experience. You know.
I strongly agree with that. It's not something that we need to achieve through these substances. It's something that it's inside of us, and with the proper training, we can of course tap into this knowledge. It's like some sort of shortcut, if you want, if you allow me to say that. It's like
absolutely
something that should be done lightly. I think this is my personal opinion, because then it's just not believing that you can do it yourself, and you're just chasing this experience one after the others just for the thrill of it.
And thinking you have to rely on the external. See, for me, I had these experiences before I started walking the spiritual path, but I guess I was fortunate enough to know that I had heard that you can achieve this through Asoga methods. You can achieve this from within. And I think for me, it was from experiencing that transcendental experience through external influences that really kind of set me on I kind of said to myself, like, no, I want to be able to do this myself. Like, I don't want to have to, you know, risk whatever could happen to my physical body. I want it to come from within and find that from within. And so I think sometimes though, I think sometimes the psychedelics can be good in that sense if the takeaway from it, if the person is mature enough that when they take away from that first experience or that first kind of eye-opening experience, that you can do this yourself. And I still feel like I'm far from that, but I'm still walking that path. Still,
I think I also am. I think I also am. Yeah, we all are.
Yeah, we're all, and I don't think we're ever going to get. I think we're going to be very unlikely for us to actually get to the end of that path. Hence, why we continue to have one life after another and
but we must definitely keep trying, because it's something we cannot stop doing, because that's what we want, that's what we are at the end. And also, when you were talking about like this experience through meditation, it's like I think that's the meaning itself of meditation. So achieving that state of consciousness that you can keep also when you are going to die, in order to die in the best suitable way for a nice reborn, or to experience also what's beyond. I think that's strongly important. Do you have also many times talked about like lucid dreaming and
oh yeah, this is something that really fascinates me, lucid dreaming. I've experienced it once or twice. I think the most recent one was over a year ago, actually. That was a funny one. It was I kind of came conscious in the dream, and everything looked like a pixelated video game. And then Carolina was in a room. She was there, and then she walks me through to another room, and then she shows me a screen it was in like a conference room, and there was like a screen, and the screen, it was a video playing on a projector, and she said, "Here, what's this?" I go, "What's this?" And she's like, "It's a movie." And I'm like, "Well, we're gonna watch this? This is just like having a dream. I want to do some crazy stuff." And then I popped out of it. In hindsight, I was like, "No, wait, something big was happening. I should have just been there in the moment." But I was just so excited. I was just like, but that's a really hard thing. It's something I really need to look more on. I want to find somebody who I guess, can teach me about it. I need to find a mentor.
Mhm.
I've been very blessed with a lot of the things I do, whether it comes to working with crystals or working with the tarot
Mhm.
or other things like that. I've had mentors along the way. It's only been a 2-year spiritual path I've been walking, but I was just bombarded with people
Mhm.
with so much knowledge and so much
Mhm.
time to share with me. And I decided to chuck a ring on one of them too. To so she's there behind. So yeah, I just and I think, you know, I guess the time will come. I will find somebody that can teach me more. And I think we're traveling to Mexico later this year, well, in a couple of
Mhm.
months,
Mhm.
COVID permitting. And
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna try and find some shamans. No, we will find a shaman. We don't know when or where,
And see,
but you know, find that other.
that's the right spirit.
I wanted to ask you about, like, with these talking about the this whole consciousness and rebirth and stuff. How would you do you think that consciousness would go into an alien's body? I mean, you hear people talk about star seeds, you hear people talk about Orions and Palladians and Syrians and all of this. What's your take on all of that?
Well, there's something funny because last year I've been told that I am like 15% Arcturian because there is like 10% horse in me, horse like the animal. And they
Okay.
were explaining me that usually the Arcturians like to incarnate on Earth at least once as a horse.
Okay.
Uh, so I think this answers your question. Like it is possible, but I think it's like before, it's like a part of it. I don't think that there is a full alien incarnated in one. I mean, this is just my point of view. I do believe we all come from the stars, so we are from the stars. So we all are somehow aliens, and we come on Earth for a purpose, to help Earth move beyond, to shift the energy and so on. But what I don't necessarily believe or take for granted are all the conspiracy theories that are
Okay.
around this topic. I do believe that the universe is infinite, and in this infiniteness there are more advanced civilization, aliens that can travel through time and space and come to Earth. I do believe that, but I I never had such an experience that
Mm.
can make me say, yes, I've seen like a UFO or something like that. I
Let,
do believe.
let's say a UFO pulls up in your backyard after we finish this podcast. A little great man steps out. What's the first thing you're going to do?
Hello. Well, I had
Just
dreams about that. I had dreams like, but they were just dreams. I don't know if they're true or not. And probably it's something else. Like the period I was most stressed when I was not very well in that bad period at the university. I remember I was living in a very remote house near the woods, and every night I was for 1 or 2 weeks I was having very bad nightmare, almost lucid dreaming of me being held captive on a bed or something like that. And the last one, it was just having the impression that something was holding my head and there was another person holding my feet. I was like awake, but I could not move, and I was still in sleep. In that period, I thought I was abducted and all these things because it's the easiest thing you can believe, but it is not necessarily true. Probably my astral body, it was leaving my body, and the sensation that was making me feel like not fully in my body was just that. And then my mind made it up like an alien abduction. I don't know. What I know is that, well, then you make your own consideration. When I was feeling that, I made a strong affirmation. I made an intention. When I was feeling this sensation, I couldn't move. I just stated, I am strong. I have a soul, and this soul cannot be taken from me, from anyone. Okay? And having this strong affirmation can clear everything out. The night after, I slept very well, and I never came across such an experience once and for all. So I don't think we need to be necessarily be kept in this mindset, in the mindset that you have a bad experience, and then you think that everything you do is controlled by alien, and there are bad aliens and stuff like that. I think we are on Earth, and we are blessed by this planet and the energy which is in our body. I think that humans are very special, and this special factor cannot be taken from us if don't let it. We need to be conscious of our own power. And then from we need to cultivate our own power, our own beauty in order to be safe and to advance. So it doesn't matter if there are aliens or not, or bad aliens especially. I don't think they can do something to you. Okay, but you know, again, it's my limited perspective,
yeah, of course,
as far as my experience is concerned.
There's a deep rabbit hole that one could go down that maybe you just kind of like dipped your foot into to be like,
I think
working with Reiki.
I think just one more thing. I think we can go through all the bad that there is in life, all the bad experience, but then we need always to find the strength to stand up again and to focus on what's good, what's best, because we are here, because the universe wanted us here, not because we are just son or daughters of our parents. The universe allowed that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, not only that, we chose that too.
Yeah.
I like to think sometimes the human experience is that in the same way you meet some people and they talk about how maybe they're a Palladian starseed or they're an Arcturian starseed. I like to think that the Palladians sit around a campfire at a festival and say, I'm an Earthling starseed. You know, like I experienced the Earthling life.
Yeah.
Because I think we got something special going on here ourselves. I think, you know, there's, you know, we might not have blue skin, but maybe they look at us with our pink skin or brown skin or whatever, and just, you know, it's an experience in itself. And I think a lot of people, I think when they talk about that, I hear a lot of people really get taken away, and they're like, I'm an alien in a meat sack, in a human meat sack, and I think, yeah, but you're also an Earthling. You know.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
Yeah.
Know?
It's just we shouldn't lose our groundedness. We should just, okay, you can be wherever incarnated in a meat sack, but if you are in a meat sack, you need to find your purpose here. Why you are here? Why you are in this meat suit?
Yeah.
I also have a couple of friends who I had a conversation a couple of times, and they were disgusted by their being on Earth, because feeling completely belonging to the stars, and so just complaining about their being human, which is so earthly and heavy and stuff like that. But this doesn't bring you anywhere.
No,
this kind of attitude.
No, of course. You want to fly in the stars, but I'm sorry, you're here on Earth. You've got, you know, you've got feet on the ground. Just take note of that. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Carmine, I think I'm going to wrap it up there.
All right.
Thanks very much for joining. It was a great conversation. Learned a bit more about you, where you're from, that you've been a horse, that you were previously married to my fiance. So, Carmine, do you have any socials that anyone might follow you on? I know that you said you're not that big on it, but maybe you do something. You want to let anyone know?
Yeah, I have an Instagram page, which is Yulunga84. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'll put that down in the comments.
Yeah.
Do you provide any services? I know Carolina, my partner, she's a crystal healer. She does distance healings. Do you provide any services for anyone that might be looking?
I can be of help with meditation and with yoga. But in this period of my life, I rather, for the healing point of view, just to be very, very practical and physical. So,
okay. So more of the one
from South Italy is welcome to drop me a line.
So anyone in South Italy, if you're out there, if you're watching this, check out Carmine's socials. I suppose that's all right with you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Fox, for this.
Thank you for joining.
Keep going, because it's very important.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. I'll catch you next time we chat. Maybe we'll do another aura reading sometime.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good one, man. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye. Bless you.
Thanks for listening to the Twisted Vibrations podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and have a chat down in the comments down below, and leave any suggestions for what topics you might want to hear in the future. See you next time.